Summertime's here, kids are almost out of school. A lot of families will be packing up the cars and going camping. Now, camping is something that I love to do. I've loved it since I was a kid, whether that be car camping or doing a solo backpacking trip or just kind of just going out in the wilderness and putting up shop. Now, there's a couple of things that I really wish that people would have told me before I bought my tents. I did a lot of research. I own 4 tents. There are 3 up behind me. Not sure if you can see all of them real clearly. They're different sizes, and I want to talk to you about things that you should know when buying a tent and what the purpose should be. Now, all the tents that I own are 3-season tents, and what that really means is that they can last spring, summer, and fall. Now, they all have rain covers, which I did not put on because obviously it's pretty sunny out right now, and I kind of wanted you to see the breathability of each tent. Now, I will go through this in a random order. I was going to say ascending, but it's going to be my 3-person tent, my 2-person tent, and a 6-person tent, which I own a 4-person tent in the exact same model, so I didn't put it up just to kind of save time. All these tents I put up by myself. I did it really quickly too, because tents these days are pretty much a no-brainer on how to put up. You don't need to read instructions. Anybody can do it. Anybody. Not unless you can't tie your shoe. So let's walk through the tents that I have and why I bought them. So first off, this is the Marmot Ajax 3. I got this on Sierra Trading Post 5 or 6 years ago. It is all no-seam netting. No-seam netting means those really small bugs won't get through. This is a 3-person tent, hence the Ajax 3. 2 very large D doors, one here, one on the other side. And I bought this tent because I own a 2-person tent, which we'll get to real quickly, but the 3-person tent was the tent that I wanted to bring my dog with. You can't see him, but he's sitting over there. He's a big dog, and the Marmot Ajax 3 was at the right price at that particular time. Now, one of the things that you need to look for when looking at tents is you need to look at the sidewall construction, because what you really want in a tent is, and really kind of what makes a tent feel bigger, are these sidewalls. So as you can see, the sidewall of this tent is pretty steep. And the reason why you want to look at that is because when you're buying a tent, you're looking at the dimensions. Don't go off of what person size tent they say it is, because what you'll find out and what you'll learn very quickly is that a 2-person tent is really a 1-person tent. A 3-person tent is really a 2-person tent, and so on and so on. Especially if you're a big guy like me, and especially if you want to bring your dog along, or you want to keep your packing in your tent, or you don't want to put the rain fly on and you want to still have, coverage of, your shoes inside and stuff like that. So the space is limited, and the dimensions of these tents I'll put down in the description below, and I'll actually put links to them. But you really want to look at the sidewall construction, because the dimensions are going to give you the bottom base floor plan of the tent. If somebody tells you that it can fit a 6'3" person, it can fit the 6'3" person if they don't lift their head up. So really, when I bought this tent, like I said, the price was right. I needed it because I wanted to take my dog. It's a fantastic company. One of the things that I will say about Marmot is most of these tents have gear lofts. And in case you don't know, a gear loft goes in here, up in these little loops right here. And what it does is it gives you more storage in the tent. Now, when I bought the tent from Marmot, it didn't come with the gear loft. So I actually reached out to them, and they custom made one for me, and I had it in about a week and a half, and they didn't charge me for it. So big win for Marmot. I'll walk you around the tent right now. So as you can see, it's kind of an orange and gray color. There's the other door. This tent sleeps 3 people 2 comfortably. This is the tent that I would bring too if I wasn't bringing my dog somewhere, and if I was just my wife and our daughter's only 2 years old. So works out well. DAC aluminum construction poles. It has these kickouts. That's one of the reasons why I liked it. It gave more headroom in the tent, and this one has held up really, really well for me. So this is my second tent, and this is the first tent that I really bought recently, I should say, that it still gets used for. This is the Kelty Grand Mesa 2, obviously two-person tent, hence the 2. It has one door. The door zips open, great entranceway, you can see right into it. I'll take it down and kind of, you can look through it. Now this tent is not mesh all the way through. The bottom is kind of a solid nylon, which gives you some privacy. And when I bought this tent, I bought it because I was going to the desert and I didn't want to sleep out in the desert air. And it really held up well. As you can see, I don't know if you can see this too, but there's the gear loft right there, if you can see through that. But it's a lightweight tent. This is a two-person tent, but the dimensions, which like I said, I'll put in the description, it's really only a one-person tent if you're over the size of 5'10", because my feet touch and they stick up. Now the sidewall construction on this is not as steep as it is on the Marmot tent that I own. You can see right here, it's not that steep. And so when your head's down here, you end up like lifting your head up and you hit all this. Nonetheless, still a great tent. And the last tent that I have, and like I said, I have this in two different sizes, is the Kelty Trail Ridge 6 and 4. Now, a couple of things about Kelty as a company. They're based in Colorado. They've been around for a long, long time. And one of the things that I do want to say, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, is that these are conglomerate brands, meaning that Kelty and like 6 other brands are all owned by a bigger company. And so what I'm telling you that for is that you don't necessarily need to buy brand products. You want to buy a reliable brand that has excellent customer service, and that's kind of where I was going with the Kelty comment, was that this wasn't my original 6-person tent. I had a different one. It ripped very easily. I sent it back to Kelty because they didn't make that model anymore. They sent me a brand new tent. I mean, that's really great customer service. But going back to what I was saying about the brands is that you don't need to go out and buy a North Face tent. We're not all explorers. Some of us are just car campers. And you know, the North Face brand and just the logo on a tent will sometimes increase it. Now, the North Face really isn't a really good company to kind of do an analogy that with, because a lot of their tents are very reasonably priced. But REI, how about this? REI tents? REI tents are great tents, but if they didn't have the REI next to them and they had a Coleman or you bought it at Walmart, I mean, the nylon and the construction of the tents, they're not that far off. If you're an extremist and you're going into the middle of nowhere and you're going to be in really harsh conditions, buy a top-of-the-line tent. If you're mom and dad and you're taking the kids camping for the weekend, buy a tent that you can afford and most importantly fit in. Leading to this. This is the 6-person Kelty Trail Ridge. As you can see, it's pretty big. It has 2 side doors, which means that people can get out on either side. And basically, believe it or not, this tent is super easy to put up. I put it up by myself and I did it in less than 10 minutes. So just here's a real quick walk around of the tent. We'll step into the tent because we can actually step in this one. And here is what I really want to show you. I'm 6'3". I'm standing in this tent. This is why I bought this tent. Even though, like I said, I bought it a different Kelty tent for a 6-person, same functionality behind it was that I could stand in it. I don't have a problem getting on my hands and knees to climb in a tent if I'm backpacking, I'm in the middle of the wilderness and I'm doing something kind of adventurous. But if I'm going car camping with my family and I'm going to be able to be in this tent a lot more than you think you are. I mean, you go on camping trips, you're like, oh, we're going to go do all this crazy stuff. Well, you got to take into account for the weather, because if you don't, you could really kind of get screwed. So be prepared to stay as long as possible in your tent if need be. So this tent really fits the bill. All of these tents have a bathtub floor. If you don't know what a bathtub floor is, it basically is the seam is up and the heavier nylon is on the bottom and it goes up to the side. So this helps with water, keeping water out. This is a really breathable tent. And when you're kind of putting up a tent and looking into tents, nobody that I know, even the guys who are nuts, need a 4-season tent. Even if you're going out camping in the middle of winter, I highly suggest that you just get a heavier insulated sleeping bag. 4-person tents are really for people who are climbing Everest. That's probably not 99% of us. So back to the reason why I'm doing this video. So I didn't just want to just show you my tents. I wanted to talk to you about what to really be conscious of when you're buying a tent. First and foremost, make sure you buy a 3-season or a 2-season tent, because if you're a family, or even if you're not, you're going to be doing most of your hiking and camping in the warmer months. These things get hot, even with the rain flies off. Even as much no-seam mesh as they have on some of them, it still gets hot in there. So get a breathable tent. If you're going out with more than one person, make sure you get 2 doors. If you're really super tall, take a look at the dimensions, of course, but look at the sidewall construction and how steep it is. The Marmot tent that I own, like I said, has these kickouts. It gives that much more headroom. As you can see, the Kelty, the 2-person doesn't. But the big Kelty also has these kickouts. And really, it just gives that much more room. So regarding materials and brand names, go with the brand you like. If you're just not familiar with outdoor brands, go to Walmart. I typically wouldn't tell you to go buy gear at Walmart, but they have an awesome return policy. They sell Coleman supplies there. Coleman is a great, underrated camping company, and I don't know why they don't get more credit. Probably because it's the stigma of being cheaper gear, but it holds up well. And I think for a lot of guys my age, we grew up sleeping in Coleman tents. So great brand. As far as materials go, look for ripstop materials. It could be any kind of level of nylon. Just make sure that it has some sort of tape seamed on it, and a tape seam will keep that water out. Breathability, I'll say it again. Breathability, breathability, breathability. Make sure there's plenty of airflow through the tent. Don't break the bank on your tent. Break the bank on your sleeping pad. Break the bank on your sleeping bag. Go out there, have fun. Hope this helped a little. Kind of also showed you some of the tents that are on the marketplace right now. None of these are new. So, hey, but thanks for watching. Give this video a like. Share it if you want. Comment below on what tents you have and why you bought them. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.